Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, June 14th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is, I love it, we've got here our 8 of Swords in its reversal. You know, one of the things that we've been seeing right now is, again, a lot of that working on efficiency, just trying to make something easier, trying to make something move more smoothly, trying to make that point of productivity. For masculine and feminine energy deep within the divine union frequency, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. A lot of this work that we've been seeing, I told you, has been bringing the energy around the divine union frequency up to speed as to where you are and what you are doing and what is motivating you in this way. A lot of this energy is encountering that element of surprise around them right now, because if these are energies that are putting a lot of that implementation into action right now, a lot of the energy within the divine union frequency is just is feeling like their manifestation goals have arrived energetically. So they're doing a lot of that work in terms of putting that physical effort in to have that show that reactivity in the physical space. So if these are energies around the divine union frequency that are just catching wind to situations or scenarios changing as a result of seeing that tangibility in motion, you can imagine how that's something that requires a bit of that addressing and assessing, especially because I said that issue with timing right now for the energy within the divine union versus out, it needs a little bit of correction. Because there's that moment right now for the energy within the divine union that feels like something is moving very slowly, while for the energy outside of it, it's that feeling of something moving very quickly. That ability of becoming adaptable, not allowing that space of anything that feels like an obstruction to create a reactivity space, but almost being able with an act of energetic compassion to bring someone up to speed, to help them see what they cannot see. A lot of that energy right now is almost feeling like they're almost creating that sense of easement. They're making something easier. They're like greasing the wheels, if you will, to help the energy around the divine union move with as much adaptability as the energy within. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the security and easement through which they're starting to build these connections. Because if these are connections that have been doing the hard part first, doing that hard work, articulating upon what they're truly seeking in partnership prior to solidifying and moving towards an energetic connection. These are energies that are now feeling the relief, because while there may still be that sense of possibility that's there, this isn't energy that's moving towards one another with the hope that something will be there that hasn't been seen. This is the energy that's feeling the excitement in having done the hard part first, in recognize the fact that there is that similarity there, that there is that energetic alignment, and that sense of ease, if you will, is why we see that this energy is already feeling the stirrings of something very valuable and important taking shape around and within them at this time. Because that's that moment that it also feels like a bit of their own manifestation goals are being received, and it's being received in the easement of something that might not necessarily have been easy from the past experiences. That moment of seeing how easy something can be, not even coming into the union, but being able to see with clarity how easy something can be when energy is moving in alignment with you, is effectively allowing a lot of that manifestation goal to feel that safety and security, not only in what they're moving towards, but building energetic closure around what did not provide that, right? Because that's that affirmation of saying, if you moved away from something, seeking that, and you have now found it, that is the energy that is feeling the relief in experiencing that moment of having uncovered and discovered something that was the aspiration and hope in relation to whatever that you walked away from that was not providing that clarity and easeability. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation, same energy that's happening. This is the energy in separation that's going through that process of saying something is easy or something is not. This isn't the energy that's trying to make something easier by becoming overly adaptable, right? Because a lot of the lesson that we're learning this Gemini season is the fact that adaptability, flexibility is a gift that we give to energy that we feel has earned that energetic privilege, right? Like that's that moment that we see that a lot of the energy in separation is just reaffirming and saying that adaptability is something that you give someone once you feel what is firm between you. When there's that firmness, when there's that stability. Stability allows for adaptability, but adaptability does not allow for stability, right? So we see even now that that's the energetic equivalent, why a lot of this energy in separation, if they're moving away from something because receiving the manifestation goal was too difficult. This is the energy that's reaffirming their own commitment to move towards the energy where that is an easement point, because that was a part of the manifestation goal. While for the other part of the energy right now, if you're moving away from someone because you just recognize that you have different manifestation goals, that is feeling like you're already receiving some of your manifestation goal, even if it's not leading to energetic connection. Because like I said, you're seeing evidence, you're seeing presence, you're seeing the qualities and characteristics of who and what you're aspiring for. And that's that moment that almost says to oneself, if I can see it there, I know it exists. I know it is possible. I know it is present. So we see even now, like that's that moment that almost feels like that sense of relief. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Judgment card in its reversal. We've been seeing this Judgment card in its reversal coming up again and again and again. I'm not surprised to see this card around this time, because what are we talking about right now? We are talking about adaptability, right? The quality and characteristics of the healthy Gemini energy is adaptability, right? And that doesn't mean changeability. That doesn't mean bouncing back and forth like a pinball between ideas and options. It indicates a flexibility, a fluidity, a curiosity, right? So here we see that a lot of the energy in separation, this is the energy that even going through that process of identifying and recognizing and feeling that affirmation of the self, of saying, I'm choosing the energetic equivalent that doesn't take the easy part and make it difficult. That is the energy that is like recognizing that their own breakthrough here has to do with their ability to perceive something in a way that they haven't perceived it before. Because if this is the energy that experienced, again, that moment or modality where they started to build an energetic connection with someone built on a shared past, a shared perception of the past, if that wasn't being met with an ability to see forward, then this is the energy, and it is happening in different ways for masculine and feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine, that is that affirmation to the self that says, if that's a masculine energy that's showing an inability to articulate upon the manifestation goal, that's not the feminine that's overly concentrating and saying, what am I doing wrong? Why aren't they giving that to me? What do I need to change about the self? This is the feminine that is changing that about themselves. That's a feminine saying, when I see something externally that's happening to me and I overly internalize it, it blocks my ability to perceive what is occurring. And that is the feminine coming into that state of clear perception and saying to themselves, if it's not there, I can't presume that it's coming. If it's not present, if it's not objectively being able to be seen, this is the feminine that's saying, in whatever context that is the feminine saying, it's not my job or responsibility to wait upon it with the hope that it might emerge. This is the feminine articulating and saying to themselves, when it's there, when it's present, it'll express itself. When it is there, I will see it. So we see even now that for a lot of the feminine energy in separation, the ability of recognizing how you are perceiving something, taking something that you used to experience as an internal blockage and realizing it's an external one. This is the feminine energy coming into that point of adaptability and changing. And it's based on them changing their perception of what they are experiencing, from not being something of questioning oneself about why, but more just observing that it is there and then acting upon it. While for the other part of them, and then for the other part of the feminine energy, if these are spaces and places where you simply recognized you had an energy of a healed masculine that immediately articulated to you what their manifestation goals were, and you both just recognized that you weren't in the same places, that feels like optimism. Because that's the feminine energy that feels like they're moving away from something as they're healing. Because that's the feminine that says, if the masculine's manifestation goals change, they know where to find me. And further, that's the feminine energy feeling the validity of saying, I'm halfway towards my manifestation. I just saw evidence. I just experienced a moment of seeing and perceiving the qualities and characteristics that I was seeking, just not in the right energetic connection in relationality to the goal. While for masculine energy right now, if these are spaces and places where, and again, you are encountering a feminine that either you articulated upon a manifestation goal on, and you guys have different manifestation goals, again, that's the closing out of a karmic situation, but there's possibility there. There's adaptability. There's always that possibility that something could change because there's openness, honesty, and clarity between you and them, and you know what your manifestation goals are. So again, the masculine energy saying, I'm seeing the qualities and characteristics that what I would hope to embody in someone who shares my own vision and dream, halfway towards my manifestation goal. While for the other half of the masculine energy right now, those are those moments or opportunities that we're potentially seeing where, and again, you see a feminine that you started to build a healthy connection with, all based on that observation and discussion of the past, but you started to experience an obstruction when it came to talking about the future. Then that's the masculine energy almost observing and saying, not taking it personally, changing one's own thinking, saying, you know what? I'm not taking this personally. I'm going to observe what I'm seeing. Looks to me like that's someone who's not ready to let go. If I'm encountering someone that's only able to articulate on the past, that's only able to build upon the lessons of the past, but then becomes reticent when it comes time to talk about the future and what they aspire and desire, that's a masculine saying, that's not me taking it internally. That's not me internalizing an external problem. That's me perceiving an energy of a feminine that's waiting for someone from the past to change their mind. They don't want to move forward. They're watching. They're like gazing upon the sea, hoping something will change from the past. So both of these energies, even now, the easement that you're moving away from a place that may have created a big obstruction in the past, that is a validation point of a breakthrough that's occurring that's moving you with greater easement towards your manifestation goal. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, this is the relief. This is the energetic relief and release of feeling and seeing how easy it can be when you're operating in a state or space of openness, honesty, and clarity. Because these are energies that are not moving towards each other with any illusions. This is energy that's already done the hard work in parsing through and discussing what feels like they are in alignment with, what versus what they don't. This is that moment that the energy has gone to great length to build that sense of clarity, even prior to coming into connection. And that ability of doing so, it's only allowing like the light in, it's only allowing the realm of possibility, because while this energy is taking a wait and see approach, they're not trying to get ahead of themselves. The stirrings of excitement are not excitement as to what could occur. It's the excitement of what is occurring. While for masculine and feminine deep within the divine union frequency right now, what we're effectively seeing is this is the energy that's just trying to like create that sense of easement for the energy around the divine union frequency, right? Because this is energy that's already moving with a lot of determination towards their manifestation goals. And if they're hitting any obstructions, it may have to do with a lot of the energy around the divine union frequency that almost needs that moment of being brought up to speed, right? It's like greasing the wheels. So this is the energy right now that is doing that work of helping to explain, to provide that same sense of clarity that we talked about and we're seeing that was happening in the other frequencies, to the energy around the divine union, to allow something to move even more smoothly. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is we've got here our Knight of Cups, and it's in its upright. We love to see this card in its upright. I believe we received it yesterday as well. So for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in the divine union frequency, a lot of this, it's an act of patience. It really is. It's an act of patience. The patience is required a little bit more for masculine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is the fact that, like I said, I have to stress this. Yesterday and the day before, we saw that the possibility of triggers are high. There's a spikiness in Gemini season, right? Because things can switch on a dime. And if you're not in a place of being adaptable, those fast switches can sometimes be triggering, right? Especially for earth sign energy, or for energy that has a little bit harder time being adaptable. So we see even now that ability or that approach of trying to keep an open mind, right? Assuming the best. That is what is allowing a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency to navigate anything that feels like an obstruction from energy outside the divine union with the act of energetic compassion, assuming well intentions, right? Because the ability to assume well intentions, that's almost that moment of saying, when we move towards someone and say, I assume you have the best intentions here. That is almost that moment that we affirm to someone and say, I am giving you my best intentions by making the assumption that you are coming towards me also with the best of intentions. So a lot of this energy effectively in the divine union frequency being the room, inhabiting the space, like putting that act of civility, putting that act of energetic kindness there, right? That's almost that moment of almost approaching the energy outside of it and saying, almost again, helping them amplify the positivity here. Because we described that some of this energy, experiencing and seeing some of the sudden changes that are occurring around someone, even if they were coming towards the energy within the union as more volatile, this is the energy that is not responding with that same volatility, right? That's that moment that we almost see that it's almost that space of being able to navigate and say, I'm going to return this with energetic compassion, right? Because this is, again, the energy in the divine union frequency doesn't match energy. They maintain and they uphold the energetic standard. So we see even now that a lot of that energy is doing that work, if you will, in trying to facilitate that healthy, positive act of giving towards the energy around it to a certain extent, by almost articulating and allowing for that point of kindness, of empathy, of understanding. While for masculine and for feminine energy, seeing the masculine energy inhabit that ability. In a way, that is the feminine energy that, again, this is the masculine that's almost saying to the feminine, I'm taking a page from your book. Like, that's the masculine almost looking to the feminine saying, I learned this from you. And that's the feminine energy, feeling that affirmation of a masculine that's been working on their own emotionality, their own ability to balance, specifically by being in the connection with the healed counterpart. While masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, this is why the energy is moving with such a sense of excitement right now. Because if this is energy that has done that work in articulating and being mindful of what one's manifestation goals were prior to trying to form an energetic connection, this is a feminine energy that is already starting to feel safe with a masculine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Why? Because this is a masculine energy that was willing to sacrifice the energetic connection by being vulnerable about the manifestation goals. Because that is a masculine energy that in that moment of sharing the manifestation goal with the feminine, that articulates to the feminine and says, your comfort, your happiness, your safety, your energetic protection is of more value to me than my desire and my need. And for the feminine energy to see that quality and characteristic in a masculine energy, this is a feminine energy that is already starting to feel the safety or shift of a masculine that is articulating to the feminine in the articulation of the manifestation goals. Your emotional security is of a higher priority than my need. And that ability, seeing a masculine that does not feel like they're looking at feminine as a means to an end, that is where the feminine energy begins to feel like they're building a true emotional connection with masculine energy. While for masculine energy, that ability to be vulnerable to the feminine, that ability to open up to the feminine, that ability to bring something forth to the feminine in that moment, recognize that in the point of bringing something forward, we amplify the choice that we are giving a feminine. This is the masculine that's learning that energetic lesson of not feeling, taking the feminine, stepping back from the masculine in that way, personally. This is the masculine energy that has come through their own healing process so much to learn that, again, it is far more vital and important to be able to make sure that you share manifestation goals rather than someone that is unsure or uncertain, because that is the difference between feeling like you're moving towards something together, holding hands in that open energetic connection, versus someone like going with you but not being sure where they're going, right? So even here, like a lot of this energy, this is the masculine that feels like through their own vulnerability, they are almost becoming the energetic protectors of the feminine energy. And that is a moment of the masculine that almost feels like, again, it's like the unlocking of the heart space, if you will, because that's the masculine energy that isn't seeking something from the feminine. They're working to protect the feminine. They're working to be mindful of their own energy in order to see the feminine energy flourish and grow and thrive in a healthy energetic connection. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is why we see even now that this energy is healing even in separation right now. Because either we are seeing the circumstance and scenario wherein two healthy energies encountered one another, articulated what those manifestation goals were, recognized that their manifestation goals were different, wished each other well, potentially like reorganized where they are in each other's lives and proceeded forward. This is the energy that's already feeling how easy it can be, even in those moments, by being open, because it didn't create a rift in that time. It almost created that amplification of a different energetic connection. Or these are energies right now that if they weren't seeing the manifestation goal being brought forth in the counterpart that they were starting to build a connection with, they're not taking it personally. The feminine isn't trying to adapt to try to figure out how to bring it forth in a masculine if it's not present. Because this is the feminine reaffirming themselves and saying, if I don't see it in the masculine, it's not my responsibility to try to generate it. It might just not be present. Like, that's the feminine going, that just might not be present. It's either there or it's not. While for the masculine in separation, if this is a masculine that went to all the trouble, did all the work of finally coming into that emotional expression to be able to articulate to the feminine what their manifestation goal was, and the feminine just didn't show a way to do so in kind, this is the masculine saying, this feminine energy has not let go of the past. This is a feminine energy that is not ready to release the past. This is a feminine energy that I'm bringing something forth, but their direction and their focus is not moving forward, because I've been talking to them about the past. Everything's about the past. They're saying to me that is an energy that's like being reticent on their manifestation goal, because their manifestation goal is not wanting or desiring to go forward. It's like waiting. It's like waiting at the, like staring at the past, hoping something is going to energetically come back in a healed form. So both of these energies is that moment that just feels like that, like easement, because that's the energy that's like, again, they're feeling the relief and the breakthrough in the fact that they see that the way that they're moving and perceiving the things has changed, and it's making it easier to continue forward on their journey. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Nine of Swords in its upright. Now, this card was in its reversal over the last days. There's a lot of heart expansion that's happening at this time. And sometimes things have to hurt to heal. Sometimes things have to hurt to heal. And this is why we see even now the masculine energy, if in separation, seeing that moment, feeling that excitement that may have been building with you and a feminine connection, going to that trouble of bringing forward the manifestation goal and suddenly realizing that the feminine isn't able to do so in kind, it's upsetting, right? It's upsetting. But what's important about this is the masculine, where's that upset coming from? It's not coming from devastation, it's coming from disappointment. Right? This isn't a masculine that's embodying or taking that personally to a certain extent. That is the masculine that's feeling sad about it, but they're not like beating themselves up about it, because they observe and they recognize that it's not about them. It's about the energy and where they're at, right? While for the feminine energy, this is a little bit different, and this is why it may be a little bit more triggering for the feminine energy right now, you know? Because if this is a feminine energy that is recognized and realized that the masculine that they were encountering either doesn't have an ability to bring forward the manifestation goal. There's a lot of different reasons around that. The feminine is trying to give the masculine the benefit of the doubt and feeling like that's a moment of the masculine either like not having the energetic courage or not knowing what they want. But that's the problem here that we're seeing, because if this is a circumstance or situation where the feminine moved away from masculine because that manifestation goal wasn't brought forth, and then only now, after feeling the reactivity of what could occur in the space, seeing the action that occurred, and then, only then, was the masculine bringing forth the manifestation goal. This is very frustrating and upsetting for the feminine to receive, because it's at that point that it doesn't feel like an authentic manifestation goal. It feels like something that the masculine is trying to bring forth to the feminine in order to maintain the status quo. And for the feminine experiencing that, that can be very, 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 very upsetting, because it doesn't feel so much like a manifestation that is being received, so much as a potential or possible manipulation. It's an impossible vortex for the feminine to experience at that point, because it's literally at that moment impossible to tell if it is one or the other. So we see even now, this isn't the feminine energy. This is a feminine energy. If that's happening in this modality, that can be very hard for the feminine, because that almost feels less like the masculine is bringing a manifestation goal forth to be able to implant, move into positivity with the feminine. It almost feels like the masculine is like wounding them as they depart, you know, because it feels more like a manifestation goal. It's like the difference between someone giving you a manifestation goal versus someone chucking one at your head as you're walking out the door. Like, that's kind of the best way I can put it, right? Like, there's a big difference, right? There's a big difference between someone being like, I have something for you, I want to show you, this is my manifestation goal, versus someone being like, I'm leaving, and being like, here's your manifestation goal, and like knocking you on the back of the head with it as you're moving away from them. So we see even now that for some of the feminine energy experiencing that, that can be really upsetting. So just be a little mindful of that. And feminine, make sure that you're not navigating that point of being triggered if that is occurring. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, that energetic equivalent, that feeling of just having the energy give you something from the onset, just having it present, having it there, having it like just fully in front, like that is the energy right now. And even if you're experiencing that, it can feel a little bittersweet, right? Because that is that moment. What happens in those experiences wherein we receive something easily, it can sometimes trigger every other moment that we didn't receive something so easily. It can almost create that like slideshow of every time whatever you're receiving as easily was like so energetically difficult. Like that's the healing that comes through in those moments, because that is the affirmation of clarity that occurs in seeing how easy something can be done when someone is intending, like with one's intentions in the right way. So even now, there's that moment that for some of this energy, this is what I told you about the heart expansion, because if you're receiving some of your manifestation goal, this is why sometimes when we feel like we receive our manifestation goals, we're like, if I'm receiving my manifestation goal, why do I feel like I want to be sick right now? Why do I feel so awful? Because this is the energetic reminder of everything it took to be able to get the manifestation goal. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union frequency, this is trying to help the energy outside the divine union frequency come into alignment with what is occurring within the divine union frequency. And this is a problem, because this is almost the energy outside of the divine union frequency, recognizing that like the energy outside of it, like having that well-intentional space, that if the energy is causing any friction in terms of seeing like how quickly something is changing or moving or adapting, this is the energy that's almost, again, assuming the best and trying to lend comfort there to help someone recognize and identify like the positivity around something, even if some of those changes feel like they're creating frustrations for those around it, right? Because that's that moment I told you, some of that energy or that element of surprise that's occurring around things right now. It's a lot of that, like it feels like it's fast action, but it's not fast action. It feels more like, again, something that has been, that was that building up point in the Taurus season that's now getting activated upon and can be seen. So even here, this is the energy that's almost trying to help as they go to make something energetically easier while still maintaining the direction that they're headed towards. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here, again, the 3 of Wands in its reversal, because for some of the energy right now, a lot of this work that we're seeing is providing clarity, providing context, shining a light where someone else cannot see. For a lot of the energy that's navigating this, for the energy outside the divine union, I told you there's that element of surprise. If this is energy that feels like they're making a lot of moves, it feels like there's a lot of activation that's happening here, the ability to help and articulate and lend clarity. There's that moment. It almost feels like that. I could hear a lot of apologies coming through today, right? I can hear a lot of apologies in terms of someone saying like, I didn't know, I couldn't see, you know what I mean? Like, and that's that energy that someone's saying like, no, I know. That's why I told you, moving something. I warned you guys yesterday, if there was something that was coming towards you from a point of obstruction or static, not matching the energy, but almost allowing it to be an educational moment, shedding light, if you will. Like that was almost that moment that we were seeing that was providing that context through which a lot of this energy right now is, again, like coming into that space of being able to like, almost like to give someone that balm of telling them like, it's okay. Like, I get it. Like, I know it's like, it's not like, that's almost like that moment of being like, again, you're not holding someone accountable for something that they couldn't energetically see. So a lot of the energy right now deep within the union is being very compassionate in that way by, again, lending empathy. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that even at the time that they're moving towards a manifestation goal right now and feeling that sense of excitement and certainty, if you're feeling a little sick inside at the same time, this is why. Because this is that moment, like I told you, what happens in the moment that you receive something with ease that you might have felt like you had to like pull teeth to get every other moment prior to this. It's like a little bit like that. It's like you can be very happy, but you can also be very, it goes top bottom to a certain extent, because that's that moment that it's like going to like it's like trying to get like going to a counter for something over and over again, and going through all of this rigmarole, and then suddenly going somewhere and being like, can I have this? And they're like, here it is. And you go, thank you. And then you go, it's like, it's one of those looks. You're like, thank you. And then you just look over it like everything else. And you're like, because it's that moment, like, it's that moment that feels like that hurdle or frustration, because that's that moment of potentially discovering that your own ability to set that energetic standard, to require that, to, again, not to assume it's going to be there. Like, this is the energy that's changed their own vibration in doing this, because this isn't coincidental that you found this. You've changed your own behavior to allow for the ability to find it. Not find it within someone that isn't expressing it, but find it with someone because they are providing it. So it's like the chicken and egg. What's actually happening here? Is it because you've just stumbled upon someone now who's able to provide it? Or, much like the energy in separation, are you moving more rapidly away from the energy that's showing that they're not providing, like it's not there, right? So this is the energy that is both feeling the amplification of receiving something while also acknowledging the changes that you've made within your own self on the way, as well as recognizing and identifying and feeling the frustration or the desire of what you may have really tried to move forward with the hope that it would appear in itself, right? So that's that energy that's taking almost that mutual accountability, not saying it was all external, but almost saying it's a little bit of both. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, this is the energy in separation that is doing that work right now. This isn't energy that's trying to force a spring. This is energy that literally is coming towards potential counterparts. They've started to build an energetic connection. They started having that ability of sharing a mutual past. The energy that's healthy started talking about the manifestation goal. If there was a resistance point, if suddenly someone was resistant in being able to articulate a manifestation goal, is this the energy going, well, maybe if I just stick around for a bit, it'll just show? No, this is the energy going, clearly I'm in the wrong place. And this is the energy that's feeling the disappointment and frustration, but they're not sticking around to increase that. They're not saying, I'm feeling disappointed now, but maybe if I wait, this disappointment will magically turn into joy. This is the energy that's saying, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to stay somewhere and wait for something to present itself that is unseen. This is the energy of, again, masculine and feminine in separation, not building upon potential. You see here the energy coming into divine union? The energy coming into divine union is building off of possibility. They're seeing evidence of what they aspire and desire in the counterpart, and then that builds upon possibility. Potential is when we do not see something in another, and we build upon the hope that something that is not there will then be there, right? One is like a plant coming out of the ground. You see the tendrils. The other is like looking at a hat and waiting for a rabbit to jump out of it, right? One shows evidence. The other is a magic trick. Continuing for the energy right now, that is, again, that's and for continuing the clarification on these cards right now, between our Eight of Swords in its reversal, in its combination with this Judgment card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. Don't pour into an empty cup. You can't pour into an empty cup. Can't pour an empty cup. So we see even now, that's the energy again. What is happening for the energy in separation if you're doing this work? This is the energy that's learning a valuable lesson. Is the valuable lesson being upset at everyone that's not giving them something that they don't see? No. This is the energy in separation saying, if there were spaces and places from the past that I walked towards, and I was looking for something that never showed any evidence of being there, then that's the masculine and feminine energy that is reaffirming their own commitment of saying, I don't pour into an empty cup. I don't pour into an empty cup. I don't put something where there's something that where there isn't. Because that is the difference between feeling about that sense of creating something that only one person is creating and the other one is reaping the benefits of, right? If one person is doing all the work and the other one is just kind of receiving it, and it isn't facilitating their own ability to articulate upon what they want, that is the energy that almost recognizes and says, I was pouring into an empty cup, right? And that's the energy that, again, having those breakthroughs in separation is what is allowing the energy to reaffirm that commitment. This isn't about perfect reciprocation, but it starts with an ability to recognize that you're both in the same experience, that you both want the same things, that you both share the same desire. And this is the energy that recognizes that when we move into a situation or scenario and someone hasn't articulated what they want and we just start creating it around them, then there's no accountability. There's no confirmation that it's occurring, which means someone gets to reap all the benefits of being in something without actually ever energetically claiming it. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy in separation, that lesson is being reaffirmed in that sense of reaffirming to one's own self and saying, I don't pour into empty cups. And that's that moment that we see even now, that a lot of that energy in separation, this is either happening as a result of, again, experiencing a moment, encountering healed energy, having two energies that immediately open their cups to each other. They tell each other what they want. And in that moment, they go, we want different things. That was that moment, what was energetic compassion. Because what did they say in that moment? They go, I don't want you to pour your cup into me if we don't want the same things. And that was that moment of energetic compassion, of stepping away, which is why we see even now those energies feel like their manifestation goals are arriving, because they're seeing evidence in the qualities and characteristics that would ascribe to a healthy partnership, even if that isn't necessarily their person. While as for the other energy, if this is a moment that you're recognizing your own ability or desire to see someone be like, well, maybe if I just pour into them a little, they'll give back. This is the energy that's stepping back and going, I don't pour into an empty cup. And for the masculine, that's that moment of, again, that's a masculine saying, if the feminine's unhealed, if the feminine's still in a place where they're still healing and recovering from the past to such an extent that they can't articulate about what they want with me going forward, this is the masculine that's saying, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that personally. I'm recognizing that that energy is not ready, is still pouring into something. They're pouring all their time, effort, and energy into trying to repair the past. While for the feminine energy, that's the masculine. If the masculine is not bringing forth that manifestation goal at a time that you're asking for it, this is the feminine that's also saying, this is a masculine energy. They may not want the same things I want, or they're too afraid to talk about what they want because they're not in that space or place where they're ready to make it a reality. And that's the feminine saying, in whatever context that is, whether it comes from fear or whether it comes from an ability of not wanting to really tell me what it is that they truly want, I'm not going to create the experience where I give them what I want without them being able to articulate same. Because that's the feminine energy that's like, I get to give someone the illusion of being in a relationship with me without them energetically claiming it. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, a lot of that energy right now, and this is the energy in separation that's healing themselves by observing their own tendencies, by recognizing the qualities and characteristics that are positive characteristics, but almost reaffirming and saying that ability to give must be amplified with a counterpart energy that is willing to give in kind. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is the relief and release of encountering and experiencing someone that is meeting you at that same vibration. And that wasn't something that was stumbled upon coincidentally. That was being navigated by holding the energetic standard. So for these energies, that relief and release in encountering someone that matches your own energetic frequency, that is facilitating something that feels easy, that is coming towards you with a state of clarity and openness in relationality to what you can expect from them, what you can expect from them, what that reality is. Even in this moment, this is the energy that feels that overwhelm, both in what they're receiving, their manifestation goal coming to fruition in some aspect here, regardless of where it goes. Remember what we said, when you move towards a manifestation goal, you relinquish the outcome. This is the energy that is already feeling the energetic satisfaction in seeing the evidence of what they were trying to manifest being present. And that in itself is almost that sense of overwhelm, because not only does it feel overwhelming in the fact that you're experiencing it, you're not building towards potential, you're building towards present possibility, but you also have that moment that can feel overwhelming, because it's that moment of recognizing and understanding all the spaces along the way where you may not necessarily have done that, and you pour it into an empty cup. While for the energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency, this is a lot of the energy that's just putting a lot of that effort of energetic compassion outwards towards those situations and circumstances to help the energy outside the union understand what is happening within. Because if these are spaces or places where this energy is activating and making a lot of changes suddenly, it can feel like a little bit of that surprise, right? It's like it's shaking other people's cups. So it's that moment of being able to almost amplify and articulate in such a way that it's like that outpouring of energetic like clarity, by helping others understand and recognize what is leading towards a lot of that energetic shift, if you will. So we see even here that a lot of that work that's being facilitated deep within the divine union frequency, it's about that sense of really kind of, again, amplifying that I told you that a lot of the reason that we see some of this activation that's occurring right now, it's not because something is sudden that's happening. It feels like that moment of something that was building momentum, and only now it's kind of showing itself and becoming energetically present. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Judgment card in its reversal and our Knight of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Wands in its reversal. So again, I gotta stress this, we keep seeing this, it's a little bit easier today. The volatility around the communication was earlier this week, to be perfectly honest, and that's why I was stressing to make sure that you were not letting yourself get triggered if someone was coming towards you in a way that you didn't feel like was ideal. Because effectively, that prickliness that we are seeing, some of it has to do with that element of energetic surprise to a certain extent. A lot of this energy right now is simply working through those circumstances and situations of effectively helping others see what they could not see, right? So that moment of being able to lend that sense of clarity in those circumstances, in those situations, that is where we see that gift of adaptability. And how is the energy within the union navigating and mitigating those situations? Are they matching the energy? Are they matching the energetic confusion? Are they matching the volatility? No. They're moving from a state of compassion. They're moving from a state of positivity. They're moving from a state of effectively being the room. They're setting the energetic standard by approaching situations with care and compassion and empathy in order to facilitate a point of positivity and clarity, right? Because that's that moment of the energy almost amplifying, like that's almost the energy within the divine union, amplifying the peace and the harmony that they're experiencing within the union by the way they're addressing situations and circumstances outside of the energetic union. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we see is feeling the energetic relief of experiencing and encountering a counterpart that matches your frequency. And the moment you match someone's frequency, and the moment you receive what you're giving forth, geez Louise, does it give a lot of clarity to all the spaces and places that you didn't get it before. So that's a lot of that energy even now. And this is the energy, like, again, this is the energy that's reserving their judgment. This isn't the energy that's going like, oh, I found it. Like, no, this is the energy going, I found it. But not, I found it, like, this is the person I'm going to, like, do like, I'm going to go do it. This is the energy going, I found someone that communicates the way that I do. I found someone that shares the same perspective that I do. And I found someone that when I articulate what my manifestation goal is, they match my same ability to articulate upon it. This is the energy going, I found it. And this is also the energy going, I found it because I rejected the energy that didn't do so. I found it because I required it to be the energetic standard. This is the energy that's observing and recognizing. For the feminine, that is the feminine that's recognizing that their ability to value themselves and set that energetic standard has been helping the masculine that's moving towards them with that same intentionality. And that's the feminine energy that's been using that path work of discernment. While for the masculine energy, this is the masculine energy saying, when I lead towards the feminine with compassion, when I'm able to articulate what my goals are, when I articulate to the feminine what my desires are, and when the feminine doesn't meet me there, I don't take it personally. I don't let my ego cloud my ability to see. I recognize that when the feminine does not have the same manifestation goal as me, that's not an act of rejection. That is the feminine articulating that we want different things. We're moving in different directions. That is the masculine that is feeling like, again, their own ability of coming towards feminine and finding feminine had to do with them finding themselves first, finding that confidence first, being able to put aside immediate gratification of desire in order to facilitate true energetic connection. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, this is the energy doing that in separation. Like they're facilitating that same path work. And this is the feminine saying, if masculine doesn't provide me a manifestation goal, I'm not going to beat myself over the head about it and say, why isn't it happening? I'm going to say, that's a masculine energy that doesn't have a manifestation goal that they want to give me. It's like going up to someone and saying, like, do you have a lighter? And then being like, I don't. And then being like, you can look at them and be like, I don't know how that is. You might have one in your pocket, but it doesn't matter. Like this isn't the feminine that goes like, well, maybe if I stick around and talk to them, they'll be like, actually, I do have a lighter. It's here. Like, this is the feminine being like, that's bonkers. Like, that's bonkers. So we see even now, this is the feminine moving back into that binary of saying, if I ask the masculine for their manifestation goal, like the masculine is like, that's literally like, it's not even like a lighter. It's like, do you have a wallet? Being like, do you have something that everyone carries? And if they're like, no, like that's something that masculine feminine is like, if I say to masculine, what's your manifestation goal? They're either going to be like, it's this is what I want. And if they don't want to tell me, or they don't have one, this is a feminine being like, then I continue forward because I'm seeking someone with a manifestation goal. While for the masculine energy that is in separation, this is the masculine energy saying, I'm not going to pull someone away from their manifestation. If this is a masculine that sees a feminine that's just sitting there staring into the past, just like looking at like an empty door and being like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, it's just, what are you doing here? I was with someone and they're not here and it's awful. Okay. Where are you going? So like back there, I just went through a lot and stuff like that. Okay. Do you want to hang out here? Sure. Where do you want to go? So that's the masculine going, this is someone who is not ready to let go. This is someone that does not have a manifestation goal that they're revealing to me, because what they really are manifesting is the hope and aspiration of the energy from the past returning. This is a feminine that's saying, I'm not healed enough to let go of the past, and I'm not able to articulate to you the fact, and maybe even to themselves, and this is why this is an impossible conversation for the masculine, being like, I feel like your manifestation goal, if you can't articulate it, is one of hoping that something from the past will return. And that's the masculine energy going, I can't do anything. Like, that's a masculine saying, maybe the day will come when you'll be ready to step forward here. But that's a masculine saying, I don't want to pull you into my manifestation goal. I don't want to feel like I'm leading you by the arm. I want to feel like you're walking with me. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Cups in its upright and our Nine of Cups in its Nine of Swords in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Wands in its reversal. This is just the energy. This is just the energy in separation. It's easy or it's not present. This is the energy that doesn't want the ability to articulate upon what a relationship is to be the struggle point in a connection. This is simply the energy that says, why would I inhabit a relationship that cannot articulate what that relationship is? This is the energy saying, in order to have something easy, I have to recognize what's not, and I have to be willing to walk away from what is not. Because this is the energy that's identifying and recognizing that that there's the possibility of moving towards energy that's confusing. There's multiple opportunities always present of moving into something that's going to be painful and difficult and complicated, right? Because that's not that is the ability of recognizing that when we build an energetic connection with someone, we have to be mindful of what it is that they want and where it is that they're going. Because if we just live in the present experience of how we feel with them in the moment, and we're not mindful about what that direction is or whether that direction is there, then we set ourselves up for energetic disaster. We set ourselves up for the possibility and potential of something that could create more pain than joy, because all we're doing is feeding off of the immediate dopamine of the immediacy of the energetic connection without taking into consideration the long-term energetic consequences. So this is the energy in separation that is being mindful of where they are in the present, but they're also being very energetically mindful of not ruining or being able to preserve any of that balance they found in the self by being very mindful, being very conscientious, being very energetically protective of their vessel. And that ability of not wanting to create, like if you're in a moment of energetic peace and separation, right? If you're in a moment of energetic peace, then you're a lot more mindful about what you're moving towards, because you're not moving towards something for the hope of finding joy. You're moving towards something in the hope of maintaining your energetic frequency. This is why we don't move towards people to be fixed. We move towards people when we are healed. Like, that is how we do so, because then we become more discerning and mindful of what we're moving into. So we see even now that a lot of that equivalency is the shift that's happening, is the shift, and you see what's happening here? This is a shift of the energy and separation. Not looking towards others, but looking within the self and being energetically mindful about what feels like it is best for the self versus what could be potentially harmful. Healing is just as much about the no as it is about the yes, right? While for masculine and feminine energy, and that's the energy that's almost saying it doesn't matter, even if I have feelings for someone, it still requires that mindfulness, because often the feelings aren't enough to overplay. Like the feelings must be matched with intention. The feelings must be matched with intention. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, This is the energy that's experiencing that. This is the energy that, again, this isn't energy that's like assuming, like, and even now, this isn't the energy. I have to say this. This isn't the energy that's moving towards someone with the hope that some anxiety or fear will be alleviated. This is an energy that's almost reaching their manifestation goals in the present, because this is that moment that says, regardless of what happens here, the ability to see someone in this way, the ability to encounter someone in this way, that in itself is the energetic gift. A lot of the energy right now feels like they've received their manifestation goal, regardless of the outcome, by encountering an energetic counterpart that displays the qualities and characteristics that are already letting someone feel that there is a possibility of something that is growing, right? That's the beautiful thing. That's the difference. The possibility of something that is there, something that is present, something that you can see, that is growing, as opposed to something not being there that you hope will appear. While for the energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency, this is a lot of that work that we see that is occurring, that is the amplification, if you will, of lending that same sense of energetic peace and harmony around situations right now that feel like there's more of that point of struggle. We see even now a lot of that work right now is one that it's about navigating. Even here, we see that this is a lot of the energy within the divine union, this kind of like cutting through water to a certain extent in relationality to like having those changes occur. Like what happens when we make adjustments, when we make changes, like there are waves that occur. So coming into that point of easement, helping the energy smooth out those disturbances that may occur in the moment of someone moving towards something. A lot of the energy in the divine union is doing a lot of work to try to facilitate that smoothness of a transition. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Swords in combination with our Three of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Wands in its reversal. So again, there's like, do you see all this like all this lack of clarity here? This is why the energy right now in the divine union is navigating things outside of the divine union with so much care, with so much consideration, with so much empathy. Why? Because the divine union energy recognizes what it feels like not to be able to see. The energy within the divine union frequency recalls what it feels like not to have energetic clarity. It's that moment of compassion. And this is why we understand and recognize why we have to go through energetic hardships. How do we build compassion? Via experience. So this is not the energy within the frequency that has not experienced those moments. I told you, this is energy that's done that work on themselves. This is the energy that navigates forward with that sense of empathy, because it is the recollection of what that used to feel like, of how that used to be. So we see even now that energy, being mindful and compassionate, even of some of that energy here, that may feel like there's that lack of understanding or that lack of clarity in relationality to seeing the changes or how the energy within the union moves that may be creating that feeling of upset or concern. That ability of almost navigating forward with that sense of energetic mindfulness. That is that moment. Like, again, would you match the energy of someone that can't see something? No, that's weird. Like it's like you can't, like, you're trying to shed that perspective. You're trying to give, you're trying to amplify and articulate something in a way that is not misunderstood or misperceived. So a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union is doing a lot of work from a place of compassion to try to articulate their perspective to the energy outside of the union. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that's coming into divine union, this is why, if you're experiencing this right now, you're like, why am I so upset? If this is the energy that's feeling that relief, and then feeling like, why do I feel a little sick right now? Like, why do I feel so, like, why, if I'm seeing and receiving something that I desired, like, why am I having that moment that feels like, it's like, why am I feeling the devastation point? Because that's that recollection, that the somatic, they're saying the somatic recollection of everything that occurred prior to this, that require, like that, like it's like that led you to that moment of finally being able to receive something to help you understand the difference between coincidentally stumbling upon something versus being able to look back upon your own experience, to look at the tape, if you will, on what it took to be able to truly understand that this isn't something that wasn't just necessarily coincidentally happening, but more of a result of your own process of finding yourself that helped you recognize that this wasn't just about stumbling upon something or being energetically lucky, but more of that sense of you doing the work on the self that allowed you to facilitate that breakthrough. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the energy that's going through that struggle. But it's also really important because this is the energy that's not going towards something because they're going, oh no, not again. Like, oh no, 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 no. Like, that's the energy that's going, no way, right? Because that's the energy. Like, there's that moment. Sometimes that's the no that becomes the yes. Because if that's that moment where, again, you were about to walk into something that you've done before and you're like, wait, you've caught, like, you're like, no, I'm not doing that again. Because that's that moment that if you're feeling something that's a little off, that's the reminder point that when you, like, if you put on the radio and the radio's got static, cranking the volume up to 11 doesn't make a song appear. It just makes the static louder, right? So we see even now that this is the energy that's saying, if I don't see the qualities and characteristics that I am ascribing and desiring in a potential energetic counterpart, I'm not going to stick around and hope that something is going to magically appear where something is not. I'm not going to wait for a rabbit to pop out of a hat. I'm going to go look for a plant. I'm going to look for something that shows like it's growing in that way. I'm going to see signs of life. I'm going to see those aspects there. And so that's why we see so much of that energy is saying, if I see someone that isn't able to articulate upon what their manifestation goals are, I'm just going to accept that they're not there. I'm not going to stick around and be patient and hope something is going to appear where something is giving every indication it's not. I'm going to feel sad about it. I'm going to feel bad about it. But I'm going to avoid waiting for something that isn't energetically present. I'm going to go look somewhere else. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Cups in its reversal and our Page of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Tower. And then all of those experiences from the past are going, thank God. Because that's that moment. like your guys and everybody's going, oh my goodness, thank you. Because that's that moment. Right? Like that moment that you suddenly recognize, like that moment that you suddenly observe. When you look back, a lot of the energy that's going through that modality is going, oh, wait, I recall that. I don't want to do that again, because it's that moment, like it's that point of amplification. This is energy that's learning the wisdom of the experience. That's the energy that's looking at something and avoiding a difficulty or hurdle. And the difficulty or hurdle is not pouring into the empty cup. That's the energy saying, like, you know, you pour into an empty cup, like that's that moment again. Like, it's like, oh, the best description I can give on this, right? Like, if you've got like a grease fire and you pour water on it, does that make like water? No, like that's that moment of the energy. I'm going to say it again. What happens? What happens when you try to bake bread in a laundromat? What happens when you try to wash clothes in a bakery? If you try to bring the right thing to the wrong place, you will feel wrong every time. And in those moments, it's important to recognize the difference as to whether you're doing wrong, which sometimes happens, versus really asking yourself, maybe I'm doing the right thing in the wrong place. So being able to be mindful of that, a lot of the energy in separation is not internalizing an external problem. They're recognizing and saying, if I'm bringing forth something and someone else isn't bringing it towards me, then it doesn't mean that it's going to be appreciated at some point. Because someone is saying in that moment that it is not something they value and appreciate because they're not returning it back to me in kind. So that's that energy that says, that's not something where I move further with the hope that something will change. That's something that I recognize and then steer clear of, because I know that that's not a place that something I'm giving is being energetically appreciated. And it's not being appreciated in the sense that when I offered it, it wasn't received back with the same energy by giving the same thing. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into the divine union, a lot of that work that we see here is the result. And this is why it can sometimes feel very frustrating and devastating at the moment that we receive a manifestation goal. Because what happens the moment you receive a manifestation goal? Bump, 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 bump. You suddenly remember every other time you didn't get it. Every other moment. All those places that you hoped, that you desired, that you longed to have that manifestation goal appear. A lot of that comes through, and it can feel really upsetting. It can feel really overwhelming. It can feel very unfair. But this is also that moment of energetic compassion that comes through, because that's that moment that almost feels like that sense. What happens in that moment? Why does it feel so upsetting? Because you're releasing the blame. You're releasing the blame. And because that's not that releasing the blame, you're navigating through. Do you see what's happening right now? The energy is better understanding why something could not occur in a different place. And some of that is the energy. And this is going to change. This is going to change right now because it depends on the person. This is either the energy saying, I didn't get that there because I didn't show up this way, right? So that's where some of that regret space comes. I couldn't get that there because it didn't show up in the way I hoped. Or this is energy saying, I didn't receive that there because they weren't willing to give it to me. So this is either the energy that's feeling the burden of the karmic shedding, of someone saying, it wasn't me because I'm doing the same exact thing I did and now I'm receiving it, which is the shedding of the karmic burden. Or this is energy that says, I recognize that I'm doing something in a different way that is rendering a different outcome. Sometimes this is both. Honestly, most of the time, you're probably having both if this is occurring, which is why it can feel a little emotionally or energetically overwhelming at the time that these experiences occur. Because that's that moment of understanding and clarity that helps you better understand the past from the context of the present moment. Continuing to get clarified, well, for the energy right now that is in the divine union, a lot of this, what we're effectively seeing to a certain extent here, is for the energy that is within the divine union frequency, a lot of this work is helping others through some of these modalities right now. A lot of this work that we're seeing right now is effectively the immediate result or circumstance, if you will, of the energy recognizing, identifying, and trying to help those around them through I just see it right now. A lot of the energy right now within the union is just doing a lot of work to try to help the energy around the union, particularly through some of their own, some of their own energetic crises right now. Because even here we see that for the energy within the divine union right now, there's that modality of trying to give clarity and insight and perspective, potentially towards some energy right now in helping, and I want to say like helping recognize and identify via V, like literally via V point of view, to help them better navigate through circumstances or situations that may feel like they're energetically overwhelming. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Ace of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Wands in its reversal. We got two cards falling on the floor. I'm assuming these are our cards. We've got here our Nine of Cups in its upright in combination with our Two of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency. Even here, I just keep seeing it. It feels a lot like the energy of those coming towards energy in the frequency for advice, for insight, for clarity. Because, even here we see that there's something about that moment that I want to say it feels like a little bit of a, it really does. And it's really interesting too, because I almost feel like there's a lot of energy of like apology here to a certain extent, like it really does feel like there's some kind of element of apology right now that is being navigated by some of the energy within the frequency. But it's almost like that sensation or that situation of someone being like apologizing and someone being like, it's not necessary. You know what I mean? Like it's that type of energy, because that's that moment of someone, again, not taking something personally to a certain extent and almost trying to help others like not take something personally either. You know what I mean? Like it's giving me a lot of that vibration right now for a lot of energy deep within the union. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union, this is the energetic equivalent. A lot of energy right now is understanding this is why right now this energy feels like they're receiving a manifestation goal, regardless of the outcome of a situation or circumstance. Because again, when we're doing manifestation effectively, we surrender the outcome. A lot of this energy that we're seeing right now is getting clarity on what didn't work in the past. I told you, closures moving forward. They're getting clarity on what didn't work in partnership in the past by receiving it in the present. So even in the ability of these energies coming together, regardless of what shape it takes, this is like that quality or characteristic of saying, like, regardless of what happens, I'm really, really glad I met you. I'm really, really glad that we were able to no matter, even now, this is energy that's like, no matter where this goes, thank you. It's like that feeling of energetic gratitude, because it's the gratitude of encountering someone and immediately feeling the clarity that helps you build closure around circumstances and situations that were not in that same space. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation. This is the energy in separation that is working on becoming whole in oneself. The energy in separation here, what's actually happening is, again, this is not energy that needs partnership. This is energy that's almost reaffirming their own commitment and saying the right partnership or none at all. Better to have no partnership than be in the wrong type of partnership. Better to have no connection than be in the wrong type of connection. This is the energy that is working towards going towards partnership, but being very, very conscientious of maintaining their own energetic frequency, because this is not energy that's looking to change their frequency by coming into an energetic connection. This is energy that is very confident and comfortable with their frequency. They found their peace, if you will, and they are looking for energy that is similarly and simultaneously energetically mindful of same. And the ability to articulate on a manifestation goal is a very good way of being compassionate to one another, to help articulate the ability of expressing and experiencing and talking openly towards what it is that we desire from one another, as opposed to of using one another for a means to an end. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Seven of Wands in its reversal and our Two of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Hanged Man. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is the energy that's literally kind of taking like, I'll wait. Like this is a bit of that energy saying again, because this is the energy again that we're seeing. When you're in that state or space that you feel very comfortable in your own energy, it allows for that sense. Like this is the energy basically going, it's like partnership is a nice to have. It's not a need to have. This is the energy that is effectively, navigating in such a way of really recognizing and identifying. And while it may feel like it is difficult, right? Because this energy does clearly want to be in partnership. This is the energy that's almost feeling that anticipation or expectation of saying, I'm waiting for the right energetic counterpart. I'm waiting for that person that shows. And this is the energy that isn't just saying, I'm waiting for, like, this isn't the energy going like, I'm waiting for someone, like I see them and like all of the sparks go flying. This is the energy that says, I'm waiting for someone that is able to articulate what they want, that is able to recognize and amplify an ability of being energetically healed insofar as they can build that sense of talking towards the future that they aspire and desire, so that we can build it together. So we see even now like that ability of articulating that ability of identifying that is how a lot of that energy right now in separation is navigating between the energy that actually like wants to build towards a manifestation goal versus the energy that's just looking for some company, just looking for some companionship along the way. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, and this is the energy that says like better, like again, better to be like with one's own energy, being very mindful of this, as opposed to putting that building into a connection with the wrong energetic individual. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that is feeling the relief and the release of having been energetically resilient in that way. Because this is the energy that's recognizing and identifying and saying to oneself, I didn't just stumble into something here. I didn't just accidentally fall into something. This is the energy that says, even now there's that moment of taking a wait and see approach on something, but it feels easier because it's not navigating in a dark space. This is an energy that has clarity. They know what direction they're moving in, right? And in that modality, there's that relief. It almost creates that ability to take one's time, not to feel like one's in such a rush, because it's the security in understanding that you're both committed towards that same direction, right? Like you're not, this isn't, and I have to stress this, this isn't a promise of commitment in that way, right? But the clarity and openness in terms of articulating the fact that in a way you both share a dream or aspiration of where something could go, well, that is the start of something really beautiful. And that feels more like a sweet surrender as opposed to going into something blindly and unknown and uncertain. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now while for the energy deep within the divine union right now, this is the energetic equivalent of frustration that we're seeing, that some of the energy within the divine union has to do in moving more slowly than they would aspire and desire. Because this is the energy around the divine union This is the energy of the divine union, not moving at the speed that they would desire because they're being mindful of the speed the energy around them requires. So you can see even now, like, this is one of those moments. This is literally, I hear people in the divine union, like literally having conversations, and someone, like the energy around them being like, this feels fast. And the energy within the union being like, if I had it my way, it would be much faster. Like, that's literally like the energy being like, if I had it my way, like the energy being like, this all seems a little sudden. And then being like, if we had it our way, we would be making this move 15 times faster. Like, it's a little bit like that. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between the Tower, and that's why there's that resistance point here, because that's like one person being like, I'm already slowing it down for you. Like, I'm already slowing it down for you. You're telling me that it's too fast. Clarification between our Tower card and our 2 of Cups in its reversal and our 9 of Cups in its upright. May I have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our 7 of Cups in its upright. And that's what we did. Like, that's what we see even now with this, like, again, a lot of this work of the divine union is really just helping energy, like, get some clarity and perspective on things, because that's that moment. Like I said, the energy within the union's like, I feel like the energy outside, I told you, it's all about timing and speed right now. The energy outside the divine union is like, things are moving very quickly. And the energy within the divine union's like, if we had it our way, it would be moving 15 times faster. Like, it's like really, it's about like, it's finding that beautiful sweet spot of moderation between the comfort level of what feels like what feels like it is most harmonious, right? And so we see even now that a lot of the energy within the divine union is working really hard to, like, create that harmony, but it's even coming a little bit at the cost of the energy within the divine union, because it's requiring them to play something like 4 times slower than they would aspire and desire to do it, because it's like learning as you go. Like, when you're trying to teach someone something, you have to do something very slowly, like so slowly. So it's like a little bit of that. So we see even now, like, that's that moment that, like, it's the patience is the thing. It's like, it really is that patience to help the energy recognize and understand that sense of positivity, like moving into that state of energetic comfort, if you will. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of that work that we're seeing to a certain extent is that feeling of relief. But again, it's a little bit top bottom, because that moment that you finally receive something, you see all the possibilities that open in the moment, that you don't have to concentrate. Like, what happens in the moment that you don't need to struggle and put all of your time, effort, and energy in trying to manifest a manifestation goal? I got to tell you this, a lot of the energy coming into the divine union right now is recognizing with the fury and frustration in working towards saying to themselves, I just spent all that time trying to manifest a manifestation goal. Like, that's the energy going, my manifestation was trying to manifest a manifestation goal. Like, that is the energy that, like, it's frustrating, because the energy recognizes, I told you, when there's work on the self and work outside the self, those are those moments that can feel like a bit of like that frustration point, because it's having a breakthrough and saying to oneself, like, the understanding, sometimes when you're understanding something, it'll make you a little upset, because that's that moment that you're like, oh, I get it now. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit of that we see that is happening here, that is like requiring that moment of like embracing the joy. Like, don't let yourself get frustrated. Embrace the joy of the possibility for finally having like overcome that like breakthrough point, right? Well, for the energy in separation right now, I just need to say a lot of the energy in separation is affirming to themselves and saying there is no way on earth that I am going to spend my time, effort, and energy trying to manifest a manifestation goal, because what on the earth is that? Like, that's the energy that's just basically saying, if I'm seeing someone that is requiring me to move towards them, and my manifestation, they're basically saying the manifestation is hoping that a manifestation goal will appear. This is the energy that's like, no thank you. Like, no thank you, because that's the energy that says that's a waste of my time. That's the energy saying that that is an energy that is wasting the energetic time. Like, that's the energy that says that I can't. And this is the thing. This is the energy that's being very compassionate, right? Being very compassionate, being very mindful in that moment, recognizing and identifying that that might not necessarily be what someone is energetically trying to do, not necessarily what someone is intending to do. But if they recognize that that is what's happening, that is the energy that is maintaining their own energetic frequency to such an extent that they say, I prefer not to do that. I prefer not. Why would I do that when I could just go somewhere else? Because that is a moment that's almost like, again, you're experiencing and seeing the blockage a lot faster. And that's allowing you to proceed forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Cups in combination with our Hangman in its upright. One card, please. Clarification. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation. The breakthrough is in the self. The breakthrough is in the self. Like, and this is what's beautiful for a lot of the energy of that's in separation right now. This is the energy that's saying, I'm in separation, but I'm having breakthroughs. The breakthroughs are in the self. Because this is the feminine, again, looking towards masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to in that point of binary. Like that moment of almost saying, it's either present or it's absent. It's either like a manifestation goal is either being shown or it's being held. And that's the energy is saying, I can't assume that that will change. I have to take someone at face value. If I ask someone what their manifestation goal is and they present it, then I can assume that that is someone that is very easily going to articulate upon their manifestation goals. If I experience someone and I ask them what their manifestation goals are and they are resistant, there could be a whole batch of reasons as to why that is. Doesn't matter why. It just matters to determine if that's occurring or not. And that's a feminine saying, I'm not going to internalize, I'm not going to change, I'm not going to try to change those things. I'm just going to perceive. I'm going to be very perceptive. I'm going to perceive whether it is present or whether it is absent. And that is the feminine that is recognizing and allowing themselves to be, again, energetically resilient but observant, right? Because that is the energy that is effectively articulating that is what is like that silk to steel approach, that ability of being like, like paying attention, but also like doing that work in like effectively recognizing and identifying like whether it is there or not. And this isn't the energy that's feeling like they're going to fight to bring it out in someone. This is just the energy that's just accepting whether it is one or the other. While for masculine in separation, this is that energetic equivalent of, again, looking towards feminine. If the feminine isn't articulating on their manifestation goal, this is almost the masculine energy saying, this is potentially the feminine energy that still hasn't healed. This is a feminine energy that is again being open about the fact that they are not, like, they're not ready, right? Because that's the energy of the masculine being like, if the feminine's articulating about everything that's happened to them, but they're very resistant to talk about what they hope going forward. This is almost a masculine looking at the feminine and saying, it seems like they're still caught in the past. It seems like they're still trying to hold on for something coming back instead of talking about what they see beyond. So they say even here, like masculine's like leaving a little bit more adaptability for feminine in that modality, because that's a masculine saying that could always change. While for masculine and that's that moment of, again, being a little bit more compassionate as they're experiencing that, because that's a masculine that's able to perceive that because they're not taking the resistance point of the feminine personally. They're utilizing their power of observation. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the breakthrough. This is the energy that almost feels like they've found their manifestation goal regardless of where it goes. Because seeing those qualities and characteristics is shedding light on the spaces and places wherein they didn't receive it. If this is the masculine that's articulated those manifestation goals to the feminine, and this is a feminine that's like, I want that too, then that's a masculine feeling the relief of a feminine and identifying that same dream, that shared dream, and now taking that wait and see approach to see what things like what occurs. While for, again, if this is the feminine that's seeing a masculine that had the courage, the empathy, and the vulnerability to articulate to the feminine what their manifestation goals are, and this is the feminine that is in alignment with them, both of these energies are feeling that energetic excitement with that wait and see approach. And it doesn't, but it's not, I have to say, it's not the wait and see in terms of not feeling or not knowing what is occurring. This is the energy that sees it present. They're excited about the possibility, not the potentiality. Final card for today's spread between our Seven of Cups in combination with our Queen of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. This is that energetic equivalent that we're seeing right now. For the energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency, this is that moment even here. Remember how I told you that a lot of the energy deep within the divine union frequency right now is like working on bringing energy up to speed? This is a lot of the energy within the divine union frequency, almost working into that sense of energetic alignment. The interesting and the intriguing thing about it is this is like, this is giving a lot of that energetic equivalent of a lot of the energy within the divine union, trying to bring energy on board. Like bringing, if there's moments right now that you're implementing changes in your own experience, right? Because of moving deeper within the divine union frequency. This is that moment of, again, the energetic empathy required to facilitate like that amplification of like positivity, if you will, right? This is that moment. This is the energy within the divine union that's being very mindful to a certain extent in desiring or wanting the energy. Like, it's almost like the energy of the divine union. It's not just enough right now that the energy within the divine union feels that sense of moving towards a manifestation goal. This is a lot of the energy within the divine union almost saying to a certain extent, you know, I would love the energy around me. Like the energy to share in that joy, to share in that same manifestation. So we almost see here that is a lot of that energy within the divine union, like sharing their dream with others around them to a certain extent, from a place of positivity and excitement, hoping to amplify and radiate that same sense of like excitement and joy, if you will, right? So we see even now that a lot of that energy, like it feels a lot like the hug energy, right? It's like it's literally like a lot of the energy in the divine union doing like that, like funny, annoying hug, like hug, you know, like in the energy, and like trying to help the energy around them recognize and identify like that sense of like that moment. Even now, if there was like the energy coming from a place of apology, being like, no apology necessary, because that's almost just that moment that feels like that sense of like wanting to increase the positivity to a certain extent. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's like, I told you, remember that Venn diagram? Remember that like little Venn, we had the circles like that, like the two circles? These are the energies that are like, They see that spot. It's there. It's present. They've talked about it. Like they're on the same page. It's present. It's the potentiality. This is the energy that doesn't feel like there's perfect alignment between you and another's goals right now. But that ability of seeing the possibility, right? This is the energy that feels the difference between working towards possibility instead of potentiality. Possibility is working with something that is there. There's evidence of it, which means that there's a possibility that there may be more. Potentiality is the whisper or the thought of something that you haven't seen, that you hope or aspire to be there. One is tangible, one is theoretical. This is a lot of the energy right now working in the tangible. While for the energy in separation, this is the affirmation of the message coming down from the divine union frequency saying, work in the tangible, not in the theoretical. Don't work in the theory of who one could become. Work on the tangibility of what one sees, right? And this is the energy in separation that's articulating that even as they proceed forward. And that ability of recognizing and identifying that, this is the energy in separation becoming very selective in relationality to preserving their own energetic frequency and being very mindful and picky, welcome to Gemini season, as to who they allow to occupy their energetic space, because it is the reminder to themselves when they're feeling those moments, even if they see and be like, not letting their fantasy override the reality, in articulating and saying to oneself, I work in the tangible, not in the theoretical. Like I work in if it's not there, it's not there, regardless of what I hope might be there. If it's not there, it's not there. And that's why we see even now a lot of that energy feels like they're moving closer to their manifestation goal because they feel themselves becoming more energetically selective. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Two of Swords. I know that a lot of the energy right now is worried about being too picky. This is literally, I'm not surprised to see that during this season. This is the energy almost saying to themselves, going, am I being too picky? But here we go. I need to stress this. What we see that is happening here, for the energy that's coming into that's in separation, is a lot of that work that we're seeing is like what you're feeling is like pushing one's own envelope, right? If you're worried about being too energetically picky, usually the best thing you can do is articulate it to someone else. Like articulate it to someone else who you trust and see if they kind of share your same methodology or thoughts. That's a good way, because again, I see a lot of the energy in separation, like pushing their own envelope here. So if you're worried about that, like let that be a moment. Like, you can be open. I have to stress this. You can be open and receptive to feedback, right? Like that's a good thing. Like feedback will validate something if you're feeling like that, as long as you're like, being energetically mindful to a certain degree. So if you're in separation, you're feeling like that, like just keep that in mind. If you're coming into the energy coming into divine union, this is energy coming into the divine union, worried about wordplay. This is the energy that's working through some cycles of trust. Because even here we see, they're like, is this someone's words not matching their actions? Because we see even now the energy coming into divine union is feeling the excitement of the words, but they need to be shaped by the reality. So again, this is why like this type of prudence is valid and okay, because this is energy. I told you, this is why the energy isn't getting their hopes up. Because they're also like mitigating them and saying like, words mean nothing without action. So keep on working on that. That's a good place to be. But again, lean towards optimism. Don't lead towards assuming the worst. Try expecting the best. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within the divine union frequency, some energies like that's the problem with some of this. It feels like even at the best case scenario, it feels like there's a lot of energy around the divine union that feels like they're withholding judgment to a certain extent, which is also fine. Because again, the compassion of the energy within the divine union is such that it's almost that amplification of saying, like, I recognize that words don't mean nothing without action. Like the energy within the divine union gets that. It's just hard because it's like the energy of the divine union recognizes this is why they're moving more slowly. That when you are in that space of words that require action, there's a third element you have to take into consideration, which is you got to work with time, because time is necessary to implement action. So that is where we find is the daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I'll never DM you. I'll never PM you. I'll never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website, so I encourage you to do it there. A couple quick updates before we move into personal readings for today. First and foremost, did you know that we're doing a tarot class next week? Because we are. We are continuing our series of tarot classes next Wednesday, June 19th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Central. 9 p.m. Eastern, not Central. It will be an exploration on the High Priestess card. The last cards that we have studied have been the Fool card and the Magician. The High Priestess is next. If you would like to join that class, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your subscription will grant you access to the live class, as well as the recordings and course materials for all of the previous classes. So if you're just joining us, you've got a whole week to catch up on those classes. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students if you have any questions about anything that you're learning. Happy to fill you in. Also, if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only do you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a one-on-one mentorship reading with me, wherein we will assess where you are on your own tarot journey, and I'll give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize that pathwork to the best of your potential moving forward. One thing about these classes is I really tried to create them so that they be beneficial to both the novice reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's a bit of something there for everyone. So again, thank you to my students who are already in the class. I can't wait to see you on Wednesday, and if you're just joining us, welcome. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay abreast of any new news, offerings, or to get our weekly newsletter that kills you when I am online. Also, we are doing a giveaway for a free tarot reading, and all you need to do to enter that giveaway is head over to my Linktree. There's a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you'd like to increase your chances, go ahead and forward that link to a friend, because when I draw the winner, I will ask them who referred them, and I will be giving away not 1 but 2 tarot readings. 1 to the person who won the giveaway, 1 to the person who referred them. So again, thank you so much if you've already taken that survey. I really appreciate your insight. I'm really trying to build and craft some experiences that I feel everyone will enjoy. Your feedback is critical and important, and I wish you the best of luck in winning. Finally, we've got some offerings that I'm now offering. First, we are offering mentorship. Mentorships are on a very limited basis because they are focused on whatever area of study that you are interested in exploring. Those can be purchased on an individual class or as a monthly class package. So 4 45-minute classes. You can head over to my Linktree to find it there. And also for my clients right now that are seeking more consistent tarot support, I'm very happy to now be offering weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 readings that you can purchase at a discounted rate so that you can stay more consistent in your own tarot practice with me. Thank you guys again. A lot of these offerings are coming via the recommendations from my clientele. So thank you so much for your feedback. And if you have something you'd like me to offer, shoot me an email, gracestrega@gmail.com. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing in these messages. And we will do this again